Welcome everybody, this is Brothermutant here. Today we're going to talk about some more of the Reeron's spell fixes and changes. Now, I have power leveled up this character here, as you see. She is not completely leveled 30, and there's a reason for that. There's a feat that she needs to get for me to demonstrate an ability. I will demonstrate it, of course, without the feat, and then with it to show you that the feat is actually working as intended. Now, we have done videos like this before with wizards. As such, there are many spells that I've already covered that clerics had access to, and even druids will have access to, that are already covered in those previous videos. As such, I'm going to list those now, just in passing, just so you know which ones are already previously uploaded, so that I don't have to cover them again, just to save on time. So the list includes the following: Bull Strength, changes to energy drain, the spell mantles, all of them, magic circle against alignment, mass bull strength. This includes changes to those physical and mental ability increases like Owl's Wisdom, Mass Owl's Wisdom, so they don't stack anymore. Stone Body has been covered. Assay Resistance, which will be a really nice upgrade for clerics that want to attack spellcasters like wizards and sorcerers that may be buffed to the nines. This will be a nice way to penetrate some of those spell resistances they may have. Magic Weapon, Greater Magic Weapon as well. Animate Dead, Create Undead, Create Greater Undead. All the summoning spells, summoning creature 1 through 9. Gate, which summons a creature. Anything that basically does that, with the exception again of those two that came from the wizard's pool. The shadow spells, the Greater Shadow Conjuration and Shadow Conjuration. The two shades that you can summon from those don't seem to be upgraded to the level that these pets are, but still, they're not horrible, but they really could have used an upgrade. Resist Energy has changed. Banishment has changed. Bestow Curse has changed in a very good way. Blindness Deafness has changed. Cause Fear, Contagion, Control Undead, and all these changes not only make those pets better, more viable, but it also makes you able to summon more than one at a time, which could greatly be abused. Again, I already talked about how I wouldn't, but if I were a cleric like this and I had these all slotted up like that and the poop hit the fan, I'd be more than capable and willing to summon every last one of these guys to get the bad guys off my face. Remember, I've burnt a spell slot to actually put them here, unlike, say, a druid who can turn any one of their spells into a pet, right, with the exception of the level 0 stuff. Also, druids, just like druids, you could have spirit shaman, sorcerers, and favored souls that if they've picked some creature X or gate or whatever they have access to, they can have multiple castings of it because they get to cast multiple level 9 spells or 8 spells or whatever in a day. Again, it could be abused. I wouldn't use it for stuff like that. That's not cheating. I mean, it teaches own, but I wouldn't do it. Darkness has changed. The Dispel Magic line of spells have changed for the better, of course. And that should cover everything that I've already talked about as far as wizards and sorcerers are concerned that also impact clerics. That does not include any spell that a cleric would get, a new spell that they would normally not have access to because of something like their cleric domain, right? They get 2 different domains they get to pick from. There are spells in there that could be wizard-based spells, and as a result, the clerics don't have access to them normally. They pick the right domain, and suddenly they could have Melf's Acid Arrow. Therefore, anything that impacted it for wizards and sorcerers would impact clerics in the same way. Now, having said that, let's actually talk about all the spells that are different for clerics, changes and upgrades that may have been made by Reeron spell fixes and improvements. Blade Barrier is one, and the only real change here is just like those other spells we saw with the wizards that had a duration and a placement, like a cloud or a wall of fire, for instance. This now has the caster level tied to it. That ensures proper dispelling of the spell when a Dispel Magic magic spell is used. From there, Hypothermia hasn't really done any changes to it, but it's just to remind me that because it can cause fatigue if they fail the fortitude save, of course, there are a variety of spells that clerics have access to that will remove that fatigue. Now we have to make sure that we're clear that not every spell will do that. We have the Inflict Wounds series of spells. from minor all the way up to critical. Now, not the mass ones, these are the single target ones. And the changes that you're going to see here will be things like it's a melee touch attack, therefore it keys off of things that would impact your melee touch attack bonus, right? So strength is most likely the attribute you'd have as a cleric. Doesn't have to be. If you want to be a dexterous cleric, you can do so. But make sure you get weapon finesse so that those melee touch attacks will get the dexterity bonus, assuming it's of course higher than your strength. The things like critting, sneak attack will all be applicable. Now granted, there's not a whole lot of sneak attack that clerics get, but that's not to say you couldn't have a weapon or an item that gave you sneak attacks, or you're allowed to double dip or even quadruple dip into various classes. If you wanted to make a rogue cleric, you're more than welcome to do so. And it'd be a good way for you to ensure some serious damage. Remember, clerics, unlike wizards, already have a naturally high attack bonus. Not as high as it could be, but there's ways around that. I'm looking right at you there, Divine Power. Now, because those spells all do melee touch attack damage, anything that would be immune to crits or sneak attacks would of course be immune to crits and sneak attacks based on these spells too, so you don't get your cake and get to eat it too. Same applies, and this is going to be important for when we talk about the single target cure spells, which can be used as melee touch attacks for the undead. And weapon finesse, strength bonus, or dexterity bonuses, all that's still applicable here because it's an attack in that case. But as you recall, undead cannot be critted. Undead cannot have sneak attacks unleashed upon them normally. Now there's probably a caveat in there somewhere, but by and large these spells are going to just do straight up damage, whatever they heal for as positive energy, which would injure the undead. They get a correct will save to reduce the damage by half. It used to be fortitude, but that's been a mistake that has been corrected. From there we have a variety of other spells. Jagged Tooth is listed as being a cleric spell that's been changed. However, even though the scroll says as well that clerics and druids can have access to it, I don't seem to be able to use this spell. Now I think because it says druid and ranger down here, that's what they really meant, was ranger slash druid. But just to bring it up now in case I forget later, and it's because if I've already covered it as a cleric, why would I cover it in the druid video? This spell is now working as intended. What that means is you basically cast it on a pet, an animal of some kind, usually a summoned creature could work, but the buff is so long and the pet doesn't last that long. You'd really want to cast it on something like your animal companion, right? What it does basically is it takes the critical threat range, which in this case for me, let's say I was the pet, on a natural 20, I would do twice my damage, okay? So what this does, it doesn't quadruple the damage, it literally just changes the range from a natural 20 to doubling it, so it's a 19 and a 20. Natural 19 or a 20 will make me crit. If I had a pet that had a range of 19 to 20 and I cast it on that animal, then instead of 19 and 20 it would be 17, 18, 19 and 20. You understand? You have 4 points instead of 2. So the bigger the threat range, the better that spell's going to be on that pet. So it wasn't working apparently in the past, apparently now it is. Now whether the devs have fixed this, I don't know. I don't use this spell all that often anyway, but when I ever get around to playing a druid, I'll probably include it just to see what happens. From there we have Mass Aid. And just like it as well as Aid, they're going to be the same thing. They don't stack, for one. You don't get to have Mass Aid and Aid on your character. However, there was another problem with both of them. And let me explain how they fixed this. Okay, so the way it worked was this. You cast the buff on you, you get these following buffs. Attack bonus, bump, increase to your saves against fear, and you got some really nice and temporary hit points. Now here was the problem. The hit points and the buffs were all linked together. What that means is once you took enough damage to take away these temporary hit points, doesn't matter if the spell was ended or not, you lost all the other buffs as well. Well, that was clearly a mistake. So they de-linked it. And what that means is now the hit points can go away as long as there's still time on the clock. The bonuses will stay around. So that's nice. Much needed fix. From there, we had the mass cure spells. And here's where we had to level up. And let me show you what's going on here. There is a feat that was a problem. Now, I'll give you an example. Let me actually, my spell book out, I want to me several of these healing spells to demonstrate it properly, because it may not fire in a way that I can demonstrate this effect. So here is a spell that can heal myself and my team as long as they're in the AoE effect. It will heal for 2 to 16 points of damage, plus 1 more point per caster level. Right now I'm caster level 21, so plus 21, because the maximum is plus 30. So 21 plus 2, 23 would be my minimum. 21 plus 16, 37 would be my maximum. That's how much I could heal with this spell on myself, or anyone else for that matter. Well, to demonstrate this, I have to injure myself. So here's a spell that is not teammate friendly, and matter of fact, it's not friendly to me either, because as you'll see, boom, I'll take damage. Boom, I'll take damage. Alright, that should be good enough. Now, let's heal ourselves with this spell. Again, remember our range. It is 21, because caster level right now is 21, plus 2, so 23, 16 would be 37. So 23 to 37 is what you would expect to see in my healing range, okay? There you go. Perfectly within range. Let's do it again. Yep, very nice. Alrighty. So you can see, it's all falling within the range that I specified. Now, and here's the issue with this spell, and spells just like it, the AoE mass cure spells. There is a feat out there that should have been working for it called Augment Healing, and I don't have it yet. That's why we haven't leveled up all the way. I wanted to show you this. So let's get the level up. You need 2 more of them to get the feat. The trick is I had to have my heal high enough, I think it's only like 4, to unlock it. But since I don't want to miss it, I'm going to just burn everything into it, because I don't really care about this character anyway. There you go. So here's the feat. Let me tell you what it does. For any healing spell, you cure spell, okay? With the exception of cure minor wounds, and that's important. It basically takes the rank of the spell, so it's a level 1 spell, level 6 spell, whatever, and multiplies that number by 2. That's how many more points of healing it adds to the heal. So cure light wounds, I'll give you an example, will heal an additional, since it's a level 1 spell, will heal an additional 2 points of damage. Cure moderate wound is normally a level 3 spell, and therefore will heal 6 more points of damage. You see how beneficial this would be for a healer class, right? So, we healed up. So, let's actually damage ourselves again and retest the healing. The reason we're doing this is it wasn't actually applying it to the mass heal spells, and Reeron has since fixed that mistake. Okay? And that's a very nice fix, much needed fix, matter of fact. Oh, that's funny. So, again, let's look at this. This is a level 6 spell, innate level 6, so it should be 12 more points added to it. Now, I'm not level 21 anymore, 23. So 23 plus 12 would be 35 plus 2. So 37 is our minimum, and 35 plus 16 would be 51. Okay, so that's our range. There's 45. Now, to prove that it's been fixed, I need to show you what the range would be if it didn't get the buff. Okay, 16 is the maximum here, right? And I'm level 23, so 23 and 16 is what? 39. So as you can see, it's healing more than it should. Why is that? Well, it's because of the buff that I just told you about. The advancement that we get for that healing feat. It wasn't doing it originally. Reeron Spellfix has fixed that. Okay. It actually says, if you read the notes, that it didn't do it for... It works for everything except for mass cure light wounds, and that's not true. It will do it for mass cure light wounds as well. However, the reason it says that in the notes is because Reeron, in an earlier patch, had fixed the mass cure light wounds part, just hadn't gone back to fix the other ones. So now they're all fixed and working as intended. That's a big fix. So before we get out of the mass cure spells, I'm going to talk about one more that is specific here. The mass cure serious wounds had a change to it. Now the notes say the following, that it will correctly heal 3d8, not 4d8, plus 1 per caster level. But if you look at the scroll, which should have what the devs had implemented, it's reading correctly. Now, whether that means that the devs has fixed this and reruns isn't necessary, or reruns fixed this and this one was literally saying the correct tooltip but doing the wrong healing actually in-game, I can't tell you. At the very least, I can say that Rerun has fixed it and it now is working as intended. So that's important to know. Searing Light, on the other hand, another cleric-based spell, is a really nice ranged touch attack. As such, it benefits from all the stuff that would have impacted ranged touch attack. So your dexterity being higher, point-blank shot being implemented for an extra bonus at close range, of course the ability to do crit damage and sneak attack damage, which will be huge for clerics once they have those abilities like sneak attack. Now, of course, that doesn't do anything against the undead, but there's other targets that you can still hurt with this spell. There's no reason in the world you wouldn't want to do 5d8 plus sneak attack damage to somebody at distance, right? So again, a much needed buff. Of course, it respects immunity to crits and all that wonderful stuff too. Next one on our list is Slay Living. Now this is a melee touch attack, and therefore keys off of things like strength, unless of course your dexterity is higher and you have weapon finesse. But therefore it can do things like crits, sneak attack damage, all that wonderful stuff. But you say, well, Brothermutant, how does that work? Because it's save or die. True, this part is save or die, so there's no critting on that part. If they make the save, they still take damage, as you see, and that's where the sneak attack slash crit damage will come into play. Very nice extra damage, making this a much better spell as far as I'm concerned. From there, we have Storm of Vengeance, a very large change when you read what we have here. So, much like our other AoE decent duration spells, the caster level was not added to the AoE effect, so the spelling wasn't working properly. Now it does, so that's the biggest fix right there. From there, though, there are other stuff though that we need to discuss. It was using the wrong duration for the stun. Notice how it says 1 round. Apparently it was using 2, so they fixed that. Also, the damage, if they failed the reflex save, was supposed to be 3d6, as you see here in the scroll. It was doing 66, so Reeron has fixed that as well. So that was big. So those that was abusing that for some extra damage, sorry guys, you don't get to do that no more. From there though, there is one really good change that you guys are going to really like. If you die, if you're the caster of this spell, cleric, druid, and you know that you want to damage everybody, you better save your bacon, because if you die, the spell wears off. Likewise, if the bad guys are casting the spell and damaging your team, but you happen to know who cast the spell, target that guy, take him out, and then the spell automatically cancels. So that's nice. From there, we've already talked about aid. Our next spell is Flame Strike, as you can see here. The problem with Flame Strike and another spell that we're going to see, Firestorm, later has the same issue where divine slash fire damage half and half. Well, A1's not supposed to get divine damage at all. This one does get divine and fire half and half still. Because it was 2 damage types, the game was incorrectly rolling 2 different saves, one for divine damage, one for fire damage, and either one you caught, you took half damage as a result, which is a mistake. It should be just 1 roll. As such, the way they changed this was it is a spell, and therefore they made it save versus spells. Now that's good news for those that have spell crafting. So with that, you have a lot more chances to increase your saving throws, right? And as a result, the chances that you'll take half damage is even better. Of course, you have the applicable feats that could cut that to 0 if you make the save. But the point's still the same. 1 save, and you either make it or you don't, and that's it. The damage is still split. It's half fire, half divine damage, and as a result, still a useful spell, but AoE spell, and of course dangerous, as, if I'm not mistaken, this is not teammate friendly. Another issue this spell was having was if you have immunity to either type of damage, divine or more likely fire, it was actually negating the spell straight out. It was saying, oh, you're immune, don't worry about it. But you're not necessarily immune to both. The way the game should always do this is it should roll the reflex save, it should calculate the damage, and then only then it should literally look at that and say, oh, here's fire damage, oh wait, you're immune to fire damage, okay, you take 0 fire damage, and that's what Reeron did. A very nice fix to keep it from glitching. From there, we have silence. The way silence works is you have a multiple pull down window. You can cast it on a target or an effect. Let me see if I can find it here. A hostile or a friendly, right? So if you cast it on the hostile, like a wizard across the way, that's fine. They do the resistance, etc. and so forth. Now if I have a fighter standing up in front, surrounded by spellcasters for whatever reason, clerics or what have you, and they have the verbal component that they need for their spell, if I cast silence on my friend, it makes a zone of silence around my target. Okay? Of course, it should be an automatic thing because it's my target, my ally, my friend. And who cares if I silence him? Presumably I'm not silencing somebody that needs to cast spells. The point is all the spellcasters that are directly around him, or if he charges those spellcasters, he should be now protected from some spells. That would be useful, right? The problem is as people were entering and exiting the zone of influence, so if you cast it, you see the zone of influence that'll be around you. The zone of influence should be anyone in the zone is now silenced. Anyone that walks out of the zone or was never in the zone in the first place shouldn't be silenced. You get the idea. So Reeron has fixed that, where if you enter the zone, you now become silenced. If you exit that same zone, the silence wears off. So that's nice. Before we finish on silence, one last thing to point out is there was another glitch. When you enter, the duration of the spell, as you can see here, was not taking into account certain things like epic levels, so anything above level 20 caster level, as well as any practice spellcaster levels that you would have for being able to cast a spell. And of course this would be for bards or clerics. So you get the idea. Those have been fixed, so now they should be taking the correct caster level for the duration of the spell. Very nice fix. From there, there's been changes to Bane. Changes to Bane have to do with the size of the target. The spell itself hasn't really changed all that much, but as you can see, the size is huge. I think it went from 30-foot radius to 50-foot radius. But by and large, the kick on this one is this. Notice how I can cast it at a distance, right? But it's still considered a personal spell. So what that means is I will literally go to where I click, whether it's myself or the ground around me, and then cast it at my feet, and then poof, it centers around that explosion. So don't think you're going to cast it at range and stay in the back ranks casting it anymore. You can still kick it on yourself and it automatically works. And that's some good news, because if you had to literally click the ground as a cleric who's fighting all the time with guys up in your grill, you can see how clicking the ground to cast a spell could be kind of annoying. So at the very least, they still give you the option to click yourself and it will boom, fire off. But other than that, there's not much that they've done to this spell. I will say this though. The tooltips have changed slightly, which I love, as you know, because it says things like this now. Bane counters and dispels bless. Yeah, there's a 50-foot radius. Okay, I thought so. Bane counters and dispels bless. So obviously if you have targets that have blessed themselves, you can cast this at them and it'll basically nullify it. So that's nice. And vice versa when you look at bless. Bless counters and dispels bane. So if you got baned, you can bless your team and basically wipe out the casting of it. Now, I don't know if there's a roll for that dispel or if it's just a straight up, you have it, oh, no you don't. Like it just magically goes away, which would be the way I would do it. But still, I like it at least that they add these to the tooltips. And I, as you know, love it when they add counter spell mechanics, things like this. You know, and I'm fine with me having to know that it dispels it or counters it. I mean, that's the whole point of playing a caster type, right? So you know what spells you're doing and what the counters for them are and all that good stuff. So I'm okay with that. From there, you see before we get to Bless, we have a change to Battle Tide. Now it has received a significant change. The spell saving throw was being calculated wrong, so that has been fixed. Also, see, so there was no save originally, as you see with this one here. No save, well, that was a mistake. There's a will save to negate it. Still a pretty decent hefty penalty, as well as a buff for you and anyone surrounding you. So that's some good news. The spell magic should not affect this spell anymore, as it is an extraordinary effect, not a magical effect. So that's a good news thing for those of you that have Battle Tide and use it. That's a terrible thing for those of you that don't have Battle Tide but someone else does on the enemy's team, and you can't just dispel the effects now. I'm assuming that, even though it says extraordinary effect, I don't know if that means that, kind of like a curse, where if I use remove curse it would be taken away. That would be something worth checking out. I would love someone to post on that if they found that Battle Tide can be cured, so to speak, with the right things. But as this one is a persistent spell, it has a duration to it, and there's a zone around you, a 15-foot radius for those of you that are curious. That 15-foot radius means that anyone in that zone gets, it's on your side obviously, gets the following buffs. One of those buffs is a simulated haste spell, in that it gives you an extra attack around. The problem with that is if my team was close to me, I cast the spell, we all got buffed, they leave the zone, they still got that extra attack around buff. That was a mistake. So now if you leave the zone, you lose it. From there, Bless has received the following change. The Radius Colossal, is always a big spell anyway, has received that same buff that you saw with Bane. So with the 50-foot radius burst centered on the caster, again, you can cast it, if I'm not mistaken. No, you actually do have to cast it on yourself, unlike Bane, probably because it's an attack. But if you are using Bless now, you have to literally target yourself, like always, and poof, it shoots off in a 50-foot radius. Lasts 1 minute per level, very nice buff. And again, now it has that wonderful little mechanic where Bless counters and the spell's Bane. And I do again like when they add those things in there. From there, Death Knell, a very nice spell. In the past it was okay, now I've actually seen a little more loving. This is a melee touch attack, and as such, all the melee touch attack stuff that's applicable to it kicks in. So critting, sneak attack damage, keying off of your strength for your attack bonus and what have you. Dexterity, of course, if you have weapon finesse and a higher dexterity. All that's applicable here. While that's not particularly stellar, if you build for critting or build for sneak attack / death attack, you can actually do a considerable amount of damage now. A couple other small changes though is this. They have temporary hit points and a bonus to strength. And again, that same issue we saw with aid and mass aid, where the hit points and the strength buff were linked together. So once you lost those hit points, you lost your little +2 strength bonus. So they de-linked that. So again, now you can lose the hit points, you still got time on the clock, you still get your plus strength. It's a low-level spell. I could see using this as a nice little coup de grace to finish a target off and give myself a much-needed strength bump. But the problem also is now, instead of being 10 minutes per caster level that you maintain these imaginary hit points and this +2 strength, they did it with more pen and paper. So let me show you what that means. Instead of 10 minutes per caster level, it's actually based on the target you kill. 10 minutes per hit dice of the subject that you basically destroyed. And I'm okay with this. So if it's a low-level minion, remember it's a low-level spell, if you're fighting off some kobold or whatever, 2 hit dice or 4 hit dice mob, you kill them off with the spell like you should, you get the buff, and it only lasts for 20, 30, 40 minutes. Right? That's fine. It's small fries anyway, and you're probably going to walk right through them. The extra little bump is not needed for the entire day. However, you can still use this as higher levels then, so when you're fighting guys that have a 10 hit die on them, and use this as the finishing move, say you critted on them or you did some sneak attack damage and really took them down heavy, you can get yourself a very long-lasting buff then. Again, not going to be stellar, but it's better than nothing. So I can see the appeal now. It wasn't the best spell anyway, but I can see people liking it more because of these fixes. From there, Death Ward has received a change, and it's not going to be one you guys like, so I'll warn you now. I've always loved this spell, especially as my favorite sorcerer, because it's a low enough level that I can pick it up in my build, and it's an hour-long per caster level buff. Now there's a Mass Death Ward, one that people would cast to protect the whole team, including yourself, more likely than not, but it doesn't last very long. Gives you the same level of protection, if I'm not mistaken. There may be one more thing that Mass Death Ward protects from that Death Ward does not, but I can't remember, and it doesn't seem to say anything in the tooltips that would lead me to believe that. However, and here's the kick, here's the new fix, 1 minute per level for just Death Ward, just like Mass Death Ward is. Now I'm still going to pick it. I mean, let's face it, it's a low level spell, it's still a good spell to have. especially for those that are worried about wizards with their insta-kill death moves. Okay. Also, energy drains, any negative energy effects, and for those of you that don't know, that really does mean any negative energy damage. It's like these inflict serious wounds do, and I can prove this to you. So first, let's. This is something that I can cast on a teammate, right? So let's actually cast a teammate and show you. I'm gonna buff him up with Death Ward. Boom. As you can see, his protection is there. Now I'm gonna hurt him. See, absorbs 32 points of negative energy. They take 0 negative energy. That's huge, guys. For those of you that didn't know that, that's a very big bump. It also works for things like energy drain, all those negative energy spells that drain physical attributes, if I'm not mistaken. So for wizards, that would be like your Rave Enfeeblement and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, that has to do with energy drain, stuff of that nature. They may... No, they don't say anything in the tooltip. Sorry, I was just checking to make sure it didn't say something in the tooltip about physical attributes or something like that. But I think that falls in the energy drain category. And that includes, I think, level drain. So those ones that drain levels are really nasty, as you guys probably already know. So a really nice buff that just got nerfed like crazy. But it's still a pretty good spell in the original, in the modified version. It's still a pretty good spell, I'd say. From there, and again, I only have Mass Death Ward just to show you that it's always been 1 minute per level. Okay. The next one, and you're gonna love / hate this one, Divine Power. For those of you that have a strength-based cleric, and what I mean by that is a domain for strength. This is the vanilla domains, of course. For those that have other packs where Divine Power is given out before level 4. So like the strength does, which is what this is indicating here. I can get it at level 3, but that means I can also persist it at level 9. Look at what this spell does, guys. This is a +6 to strength. This is 1 extra hit point per level, and I don't think it's caster level. I think it's just character level. So if I'm a level 30 maxed out character, whether I cross dip into something else or go straight cleric, I cast a permanent or persistent, version of this spell on myself. For 24 hours, I have a +6 to my strength. I have 30 extra hit points. I get a base attack bonus set at 30 because it's a 30 level fighter. That's what a 30 level fighter would be. It sets your character level to be your BAB, basically, guys. Because fighters all get a base attack bonus for every level. So if you're level 15 and you cast a spell, you'll have a 15 BAB. If you're level 30 and cast this, you'll have a 30 BAB, and of course your attack bonus goes up as a result, and goes up even more because of this plus to your strength more likely than not. And you'll have that instead of for seconds, for rounds per level, as a persistent spell, you'll have that for 24 hours. That's epic. This makes clerics way OP, and you can see clerics mowing through guys with stuff like this on you. Now, is it cheating? I don't know. I say it should have been there all along. So Reeron fixed it, and I'm cool with that. Same with haste, of course, too. And I have this because I have the time domain. It gives me haste at level 3, a spell that I normally would not have access to. Notice how travel domain only gives it at level 5. Time, which is what I have, which was before they made these tooltips, was SOZ pack, I think, where they released the time domain. Kicks it off as a level 3 spell for clerics. And as such, I can persist this just like a wizard sorcerer could. That's a really nice bump, guys. Some dodge bonus, and as you know, dodge can stack like crazy. You can get more attack bonus. You can get an extra attack per round. Of course, this is no range and melee, no spell casting stuff. And you move faster. And again, instead of rounds per level, you get this for 24 hours if you persist it. Those are 2 really big increases there. Now, this one's always been there. This one is new, so much needed. Now, maybe the devs left it out on purpose because it is OP, and it is. I mean, we can all just come right out and say it, but you can still strip this off of a target. You can still outfight a Divine Power cleric. It's going to be hard, but you can do it. So it's not like it's game breaking, but certainly for the original campaign, doing something like this in the higher levels, of course, your cleric is just going to mow through guys, and I'm totally going to abuse that, so I'm fine with it. From there, we had Firestorm. We mentioned this already once before, but just to reiterate, the difference between it now is instead of doing 2 saves, one for Divine, one for Fire, it only does 1, and instead of being spells this time, it actually does it against Fire. And the reason why is it was never supposed to do divine damage. So Reeron fixed it where it's all 100% fire based. So be warned, if you're trying to kill someone that's immune to fire, this ain't going to do it. They won't take any divine damage. It's all straight up fire damage. Also, and this is kind of a cool part, the size of the casting is dependent on your caster level. Now it caps out at level 20, so I'm already at max, so I can't demonstrate this. But you can get this spell as a cleric at level 15, druids at level 13. As a result, it's a much smaller field. Okay, you still kick it off like centered on yourself if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm already at maximum size, so you can see it's still pretty huge. Of course, when you're at level 13, it's going to be much smaller AoE, but still useful, and you're going to like it anyway. And I do like that they scaled that, so that's something that's different. From there, it hurts anyone that's in the AoE, with the exception of the caster, obviously, since you have to target yourself. But that means that it's no longer teammate friendly, so be warned. Don't be hurting your team with this because you were immune to hurting them in the past. It's no longer the case. So that's not cool, but it's closer to pen and paper, and therefore I'm fine with it. From there, the restoration spells have been changed. And it's not so much that they've been changed, they're always doing what they've been doing in the past. The one big change, and we have to talk about it right now, is that Greater Restoration had been previously listed as healing you to full hit points, or your target to full hit points. It's not supposed to ever do that. So they removed that, and that's fine with me. It's a spell that shouldn't ever have had that ability. So here's their new tooltip. But notice how it's changed a little, and it's listing all the wonderful stuff that it does for you, right? But no, it even says this: Greater Restoration does not restore levels or constitution loss points lost due to death. So obviously it's not a res a character spell. You're restoring an intact target who's been debuffed in some way. Okay. Now this one, if I'm not mistaken, will work on things like fatigue, there we go, exhaustion, insanity, confusion, and other of those similar effects that we saw with the wizard spells. Stuff that came from color spray, for instance. So all those new effects that were always supposed to be in the game, like insanity, this will be something that can remove them. And you'll see this to a lesser extent with obviously lesser restoration and restoration. They bust many, if not most, of those deek buffs that you would have, but not all. Obviously Great Restoration is the pimp daddy of them all. So let's actually, since we're already talking about, let's just look at these other ones. So here's Restoration. Notice how it will not remove a curse or disease, and that should be common. Now this one, say anything about curing diseases. Cures all temporary ability damage. Restores all points permanently drained. All that good stuff. It doesn't say anything about diseases and whatnot. Now let's look at the other ones. And here's Lesser. AC, attack, damage, roll debuff, spell resistance, and saving throws, and all that stuff that's been penalized. Those are now gone. Will not remove the effects of a curse or disease. That's Lesser Restoration. Where's our Restoration at? All magical and extraordinary and supernatural effects that apply a penalty to ability scores. Spell resistance, saving throws, and damage immunity. This spell also removes all level drain, blindness, and deafness effects. Nice. But not the effects of a curse or disease. So again, you'll see a much clearer tooltip about what it's protecting you from. I like that they do that stuff. Alright, from there, harm and heal. The differences to these guys are minor, I will say that, but they are important to note. Harm and heal, depending on how you use them, obviously, can be melee-based touch attacks. Harm, obviously, is. Heal, if you use it on an undead, would be a melee touch attack to make sure that you damaged him. You have to walk over and boop, touch the guy, right? Now, the big changes for both of these, they will never take a target below 1 hit point. And if you crit, sneak attack, whatever, you do all the way down to 1 hit point. And that's fine, because then you just gotta love tap the guy and boom, he's done. But that's the way the spells were intended to be working in the first place. Obviously, if it's used harm against an undead spell is considered a healing spell because it's negative energy. We all know this. But again, 150 is the maximum, 10 per caster level, so very nice one. But notice all the other stuff that it cures. So let's actually look at their version. Heal enables you to channel positive energy. Immediately ends any and all the following adverse conditions. Now watch this, guys. Ability damage: blinded, confused, dazed, dazzled, deafened, diseased, exhausted, fatigued, feeble-minded, insanity, nauseated, sickened, stunned, and poisoned. It also cures 10 hit points per caster level up to a maximum of 150. Obviously, you can't heal beyond your natural hit points. Does not remove negative levels, restore permanently drained levels, or restore permanently drained ability score points. Okay, so it doesn't do any of those. But still, a relatively decent spell. Now looking at harm, all what you would expect from the tooltips. Will save for half damage, still can only take them down to 1 hit point, can crit, can sneak attack, for those that's applicable to, of course. Obviously for undead, you can't crit with harm because that would heal them, and they can't be critted and they can't be sneak attack. Same, of course, with using a heal move on them to damage them. You can't crit or sneak attack them. So that's not applicable, but everything else as far as melee touch attacks are. Keying off your strength or your dexterity, whichever is better, and of course if you have weapon finesse, if your dexterity is better, and all the applicable attack bonuses you get from stuff like that. From there, the one thing that is missing from heal, and that's even their version of heal where they don't talk about it. Doesn't say it in here, but it says it in the little fact pack, so I'm going to add it to you. It will not remove the following effects: enlarged person, Durger enlarged racial ability, iron body or stone body, and it won't remove or the reduce spell effects, like reduce person effects. Now I don't know if those are considered attacks or if those were just buffs that you put on your teammates that were being stripped off because you healed them, which obviously you wouldn't want to do that if it is a buff. If it is a penalty, like a reduced person, limiting your damage, then that would suck that it can't cure that. But that's probably what remove curses for, or dispel magic is for, right? So it does, and it doesn't say it in here, it does remove the solipsism effect, and it's a spell that I want to say bards and wizards have access to. Basically, it's how do I explain that spell? You kind of like wander around aimlessly, and you just constantly get wailed on by people, and you just are totally ambivalent about it. So you just kind of stand there going, I can't believe I'm being hurt, I can't believe I'm being hurt, and you're still sitting there not defending yourself. So solipsism is a really gnarly one. From there, implosion has a lovely change. And what implosion has done is the following. Okay, so it kills instantly if they fail their save, of course, up to 4 targets. Now, it was targeting you and your team, not hurting you, but it would include you guys if you were caught within the AoE as one of the 4, which would screw you over, because chances are they're in your face, and you have to cast it in a way that catch-alls them, which probably means it's catching you in the AoE too. Now, Reeron has removed that, so it doesn't count you or your friends anymore. You can't hurt yourself or your friends anymore. That's all good. It will kill up to 4 guys. They have to fail their fortitude save, of course. And it won't kill them all at once, and this is a big change. So it's like a chain reaction. It is literally, this guy will die. Let's say all 4 of them fail their save. This guy dies, then the next round, this guy dies, and the next round, this guy dies. So it's like explosion, 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 and takes him out. So that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Also, and let's see, each round you cause one creature to collapse in on itself, killing it. You can target a particular creature only once with each casting of this spell. Implosion has no effect on creatures in gaseous form or on incorporeal creatures. You have no body to implode, so that could be a good spell to protect you as a wizard, something to check out. However, one of the other things about the spell that's not listed in the tooltip is the following. Immunity to death magic has no impact on that spell. It is not considered death magic, even though it's an instant kill move. So it doesn't protect you, as per pen and paper. This has a destruction descriptor and not a death magic descriptor. So that's a biggie. So doesn't have it in here, you probably should have added it. But the point is still the same. It's not death magic, so you don't get to have death ward up on you. Expect yourself to be immune from implosion. Instead, you have to have a high fortitude save and hope for the best. That's okay. So, and I'm assuming other things like spell mantle and blah 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 will protect you, but you get the idea. The other part is the following, though. It will kill things like trolls, who normally, as you guys know, only die from acid or fire. This spell will still kill them. And the way it does that is it turns the insta-kill damage, if it fails the fortitude save, into fire damage so that it has to die. And for likewise, anyone else that could have damage reduction on them, it does like 50 more points of damage than needs to kill you. So it does your HP plus 50 in damage, guaranteeing that you don't have enough damage reduction to survive it if you fail to save. That way you are going to die with the spell. A much needed fix. So I like that. From there, we've already talked about our restoration spells. Mass Heal has had a change, and you're going to love this. Instead of 150, let me get to it. Instead of 150, it does up to 250 now. It's based, again, 10 based on your caster level, so at 25th caster level it maxes out. Does all this fun stuff that Heal did, but in mass, obviously. If used against an undead creature, Mass Heal instead acts like Mass Harm. And notice that there is no Mass Harm spell. There's probably a reason for that. It's because it would be way OP to just inflict 250 damage to everybody that's pissing you off today. But if they're the undead, boom, you found yourself a wonderful spell to whoop up on these guys. There is a nice zone of influence, if you will, for what's going to get infected. As you can see, you can fit a lot of undead in something like that. That's big. That's huge big. So that was our Mass Heal. The Mass Inflict spells have a minor change to them. The Mass Inflict Light Wounds range has changed. And you see here it is medium, but if you get into the actual spell itself, it is now close or short. Same difference. So it's a lot closer fight for stuff like that. Be real careful with stuff like that. Other than that, poison has been changed. Instead of doing strength damage, it does now constitution damage. Let me find it for you. As you can see, a very nice constitution decrease. Fortitude save twice for it. A minute later, if they fail the first one, a minute later they'll roll again. And as you guys know, your fortitude save is based off of bonuses from your constitution. So if you fail it the first time, you're already lower and you have an even worse chance to fail it the second time. This takes your hit points down considerably. And I think, don't know this, but I think if you actually take someone to 0 constitution, it will kill them. So a much needed spell. And this is a touch attack spell, a melee touch attack spell. So as a result, you get all those wonderful crits and wonderful stuff. That sneak attack damage can be added to it to increase the constitution decrease. Very dangerous now. Evil clerics beware. Poison's out there and you can have some serious fun with it. Righteous Might, of course, our last one. This one here is here just to mention one thing. It stacks with Bull Strength. And for those of you that haven't used Righteous Might, boy, you guys are really missing out. It basically is like Enlarged Person, if you remember that from the Wizard/Sorcerer videos I've done. You increase your size by 50%, so you get an enlarged spell on you. But instead of just getting a +2 to strength and some other stuff, you get +4 to strength, +2 to constitution, fortitude, hit points, all that good gravy. You get more natural armor class. You have a penalty to your attack as well as your armor class because of your size, but it's more than compensated by these buffs that you're getting. The downside is this here. The all melee weapons deal +3 damage. Somehow it got borked. And if you see here, it's supposed to just say +3 magic, or magical. Now it's magical damage versus dwarves, and I don't know what's causing that, guys. So if you do Enlarged Person, it does do the +3 magical damage, like you're supposed to, not versus dwarves, just straight up magical damage, which is nice. So this is kind of messing it up, I think. I can't say as I particularly care, but why it would clue up against dwarves, I don't know. Anyway, that covers everything I wanted to talk about with the clerics-based spells. With that, my name's Brothermutant. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I'll do my best to get that druid video out here soon too, but I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.